Get divorced now. I'm not kidding. I know you don't want to hear this, you're going to hate it, but if you don't need this advice, then great. It shouldn't be difficult to sit through it. Maybe your friend will need this. This isn't about beliefs or moralizing. This is genuinely about your own safety. And you don't even have to leave the guy. This is like purely legally on paper, okay? If he voted for him, if you live in a red state, or if at any moment the thought crossed your mind to leave, now is the time to revisit that instinct. They are in fact trying to get rid of no-fault divorce. This is not a fear-mongering tactic. It is in fact part of several Republicans' platforms that they actually ran on. If you're not familiar with the term no-fault divorce basically means that you are allowed to get divorced if you want to. This week, 2 bills were introduced in Texas that would make it more difficult to divorce a spouse. Currently, all 50 states permit no-fault divorce, but if it was no longer allowed, basically the courts would get to decide whether or not it was up to you to get a divorce. Limitations to no-fault divorce can take many forms. It can be, requiring a husband's permission outright. It can be requiring different sorts of things, like maybe you have to prove a certain behavior. But in a court system that often does not believe women, you do not want to rely on this. Also, you should be able to get divorced even if it's just because you want to. It's also worth pointing out that several states still have loopholes and allow for marital SA. And that number's probably gonna grow. It is also widely established that abusive behaviors tend to escalate after the perpetrator believes that they have basically trapped their victim, whether it's a move-in, an engagement, or a marriage. So imagine what making it that much harder to get a divorce could mean. This advice applies to everyone, but especially if you have a uterus and your spouse voted for him. Ask yourself, do you really want your medical decisions in the hands of someone that you may not be able to legally untie yourself from and has legal loopholes available to them to do whatever they want to you? If there have been red flags or harmful behaviors, now's seriously the time to consider. I know it's not easy, but it could get a lot harder.